last 3 years, a group of us based at the Industrial Performance Center, but really from many different MIT departments, and actually even several other universities around the country, have been looking at the problem of energy innovation and what we need to do in order to accelerate the introduction of new energy technologies, both on the supply side and the energy use side relating to energy efficiency. Given the important national and even international objectives for transformation of the energy system away from our dependence on energy imports and away from our production of large quantities of greenhouse gases, and in a way that will maintain the affordability and reliability of our energy supplies. So that's sort of a big problem, and we have spent the last 3 years, as I say, focusing on that problem. Less from the point of view of which particular technologies seem more or less promising, and more from the point of view of what kind of a system of institutions do we need to have that will make good choices and lead to accelerated deployment on a large scale of these new technologies. We focus particularly on the U.S. energy innovation system in this research. Our center, our community of researchers, works in many different countries around the world, but in this particular case we focused on the U.S. energy innovation system because we recognized that unless the United States is able to exert leadership in innovating in the energy sector, the world will have very little chance of achieving its goals for improved energy security and reduced risk of climate change. We care a lot, of course, about how well the Chinese do, how well the Indians do, how well other societies do, but in the end, the enormous innovative resources of the United States are going to have to be brought to bear on this problem, otherwise it won't be solved at the global scale. So we focused on the US aspect of this. I think the facts that emerge from our study of the recent history of US energy innovation efforts pointed to weaknesses in our federal system for financing new energy technology development and deployment that really weren't just associated with the dysfunction that we see and lament in Washington today and have been worrying about for the last few years. This is a problem that really extends back over many years and maybe even, probably fair to say, many decades. And the difficulty here is particularly in the downstream parts of the innovation process. I mean, we recognize the importance of investing in early stage research, fundamental research, of the type that goes on in universities and national labs and so on. But that's only the start of the innovation process. That's about creating new options. But that's the beginning. After the options have been created, they have to be converted into something that looks like it might work in the marketplace, demonstrated in the marketplace, adopted by lead or early adopters, improved in that process of early adoption. And then once it's in the marketplace on a relatively large scale, the technology will continue to be improved incrementally as new ways of using it emerge, new ways of producing the technology, whatever it is, emerge. And that whole innovation system needs to be upgraded. What we learned was that the performance of the US government has been okay in terms of the front end of the process. Of course, I think many of us would like to see substantially more investment in fundamental research and applied research and development. But where the system really seems to have broken down repeatedly is in these downstream areas of demonstration, early adoption, and what we call improvement in use, which is to say the advances, the technological advances that take place after a technology has made it into the marketplace and whose cumulative effect may actually be much greater than the gain that was achieved when the technology was first introduced.